a friend say frank no ebesa in the first month of 2025, more or less first week of 2025.
Right.
It is not, you don't need a scientist. And obet me actually was ebesa. And not being responsible. Sanya say bia and ada bin na yede da Ghana for just to get the election through. Now senka yahye say enka be 2 months ago no. Enka order abakra ma bedru Ghana ama say ya restock dada. Enti eno kire o say sabe a student e buy no enti na won mo kasa obetie no won mo say mumma kane anu woso me yenhwe if so woni nimade a wo ma yeden won ma ye wo nim say it is nearly impossible to keep the light on because of the timelines so no me che no but say aban yo twa mi no when sua hwe yem free electoral results no Ghana for approve say sebe sa nada no ni sa propaganda no so enya ade a ebeye adwuma. And based on that no now I was hoping say he would have learned some lessons na your friend say what the sua bibia enka sa sa useless trap here e betimi ma Ghana akọ ehun akọ ahihia mu no enka onhu nye sa unnecessary. Let me stay at the energy sector. Say dia kra de ka na yesi energy sector e ka wo ho 2.5 billion. Joy FM a very intensive one sister another station. A very intensive research into the energy sector and has come up with a figure of 3.5 billion.
Not 2.5 billion as reported.
3.5 billion.
Energy sector debt.
Yes. Nature se kania no esisu ni nyina no. Na ye busia na wom no bo e de esisu because I don't know whether it was because of it was an election year, because this one will go way before the election year. And you know, that 3.5 billion a year a kind of it makes it very difficult for them. It made it very difficult for them to ask for more from the producers, no more money oil. No.
Okay.
So because and one say yaji eshi edema electricity yintiaka revenue no ba na fa baby foforo so on me cheno. And that is just the energy sector. Let us look at the financial sector. Only aspect of the energy sector ekasa, and I've picked this up bare 3 days ago. Na me name penifoni bia one more a year expert for energy sector kasa. And na ono kasa say energy sector ne de the way o matete apansam na chain sector bia. Only financial sector expert so kasa see financial sector the way o matete apansam no chain. To how much damage they have done to each of the sectors. One when him there was sector in him say what the atete apansam kra. I heard President Kwadwo praising the economy. I will not take this from the president, from our president.
Yeah.
I will rather take it from an institution like Fitch, which is an international credit rating agency.
Credibility,
more credibility. One more says all the countries and they are able to tell the position of the country. And when you go to them, just about 3 weeks ago, or about 3 weeks before the election, they came up with an assessment said Ghana will face very intense liquidity problems in 2025, 2026.
Yeah, I read it. Yeah,
these are credible institutions. Now, who are about to a man upon some walk on? One other country say economy here. They make out here.
Yeah,
who are about to a man upon some say, Bibia and Yajumano. One other say the economy
also just 8 billion in reserves.
Yes, now 8 billion. Is friends a gross international reserve. You see, a no tre a dia and futura MPP for a 2 egu Ghana for the gross international reserve cannot be used to assess how well a country is doing in any form or shape.
Why?
Let me explain to you. Young friend say nipa mienu. Back we friend adu a.
Okay.
Ni pay our Jeffrey adwumam 8,000 cedis.
Okay.
And about so your friend John M.
Okay.
John D.
Okay.
It's a John Mahama.
Yeah.
These are individuals. Young fans are your president. Bakosu pay or say or inherit 6.2 me. Bakosu pay our G 6,200.
Okay.
Good. Now adu enu enam se wo pese wo ya kesesem ti no wababosia ma se ni sika 8 point you know eba international friends say sika nko a wo so otua e ka wo de wa monene nko a eye yemfa say 6000 ansa na ne namfofo so wabo mobosia to the tune of ebia be 10000 be 1000
or the car 7000
good ansa na ka ya to ama no to send private jet or no person will ye expenses like that o person will be we ni enoma no mantino wasan so aye a friend say another debt and also a kada ho see etua and so another 900 into hwe manage so the car 7900 na yes sika wonu botom pa 100
okay
na John John DM
yeah
ono so no ni sika which is gross.
Yes, gross.
We are talking gross. Gross no 6200. Then so no enam se wabo mode asini danti no ontua rent bia.
Okay.
And one more bosia so e mane mu 2000. Sa ni pa mienu. Why na ayade?
That's also the gross reserves na. We ne de say that 8000 them but what they can 7900.
Thank you.
Into 100 in liquid.
Yes.
And away so what 6200 no.
On also the cabe 1500.
The cabe 1500.
It will show mono tabe 4000 in
over 4000
in net. That is the reason why or assess a nation's performance in terms of international reserve. We use the net. Now let me give you a very important formula.
Okay.
Gross international reserve, GIR, minus your foreign debt, your foreign liability is equal to NIR. This is a very important formula.
Net.
The net international reserve, your gross near kwati international car would be every because gross no crack component, your balances on IMF
cannot, yes.
It's all part of the gross.
So that's on the basis of debt.
It is gross net does not tell you anything. It is your net. They should put out the net figure. If they put out a net figure, Krampa, they may not be in the positive. They may be in the red.
Okay.
As I speak to you, the 2nd of January, we had to pay $3,640 million. We have another one due in France, 1.2 billion Ghana cedis due by the end of February. Sano men na won kwatiti ni nyina a cow. So on the mechano. And first for the components of the gross international reserve. The fact that it has not been netted with your foreign liabilities, makes it a friend said not a credible way of assessing international reserves of any nation.
Okay.
So, and why would they use gross? One will be use so gross because a foot romp as one to go Ghana for any. And I'm a church room. Obi or say me pay 8,000. And so no be no the cash 7,900. Obi so pay. Your friend saying 6,200. And so neka or the 1,005 pay.
That's a net, no important.
And important.
Okay.
So on the and I think that we should be guided by that. Now I was speaking about the energy sector. I've spoken about the financial sector. Let us go to let's look at our water bodies. I think say a casa or my say a MPP abai edi or my enyamwa. Omedi or my demwa. The biggest one, for the first time, experts are predicting say 1 bedroom baby no. Na ye here sika and ye their currency every man.
Right.
I'm sure we have all heard this.
Yes.
Before. Now, obedi or mine, you are there be a friendly turbidity level of the water bodies. Turbidity no say in soon said yes, ya fiafa. Because also now share ultimate process.
Yes.
Obedi or mine. Now turbidity of the water is less than 600. Say I mean what I say. Turbidity on the major rivers in 14,000.
From 600
yes.
To
in
14,
fact, even
000.
last year, about 12 months ago, it was 7,000. So within the last year, which is the election year alone, Yahoo so now the turbidity is 7,000. Double turbidity.
I think that there's a shutdown of one water plant that was central.
This is just the beginning. See, it is important we see a wire seminary or see a wire seminary and bank problem I want. They make out here because it would take very, very serious measures, sacrifices to make sure that we are on track.
Now you've started.
They make out here. The stability level of our water one, it has increased our friends say processing by about 4. See the 1 cedi in a processing friends say 1 drum of water says here the 4 cedis in a year. I mean, that is because we used to use alum, which was a less harmful way of doing it, and it was less in terms of cost. Say we are using polymers, which is not the best of ways to do it. And of course, it's not a cheap option. The price is about 4 or 5 times. So in sono processing no krano nebu abayedin. Ama say Ghana water is in red. Just one more baka. Omu yensuo no omoton omu nya omfas omu nya ska enya yi enti wonka. So now is that the only effect? No, that's not the only effect. Our major commodities like cocoa say you reject wa monone because one mu chirem say chemicals have found their way into our cocoa, our yam, all the produce that we are sending from this country. There are traces of cyanide. There are traces of harmful chemicals. So and some of these things, the effect of galamsey, Emma, we have gone from a high of your friends say 1,500,000 metric tons to about 400,000.
Don't you think all these problems are the reasons why overwhelmingly, resoundingly, Ghana afforded to me now? Say saying.
O topic no na ye kan ho
I said reset no.
Say o topic no. So o topic I would buy.
Say what reset you?
The essence of the reset.
Okay.
The reset. O topic I would buy no.
Problem I you no.
Good.
And you troubleshooting the problem.
But what's the problem? No, during transitions you've seen more.
Yes.
They make counter say. I had to say me call NIA. Be wo ho na me even cry director cry no.
Sir.
I didn't have a total view of the issues until I became the CEO of financial senior begun say, hey, say the ekuni.
The whole now be huni.
Sanity. So on me chair. And let me indicate say there is no sector in this country.
Yes.
Or minor any hamo. And I like you are saying, why are we not looking at the solutions? We are having this conversation because those who plunged it into this crisis they are still talking and throwing dust into the eyes of Ghanaians. I just explained to you the difference between a friend say
gross
international GIR and NIR. They make out say wakoka say ono na ye wajasika $8 billion. And so nya no kre. They make out say very good. Abra ono ne predecessor eja only 6.2 billion. So that all these things Ghanaians must be made aware of the issues. So on
exactly.
It became very necessary that first of all, none of these sectors is the NDC and the government going to. Look, I'm so happy, sir. I read something in one of our platforms. Now, Okasa appointment to positions, coming from His Excellency, and I think he's made this public statement, will not be a walk in the park. And this has been made publicly. What that means is that Obe making sure say competent people are put in the right places. So after all, we just noticed how important it is to have, even at the polling station level, to have very competent people man the polling. How much more governing, where you have the resources of the nation in your hands. So on the material. And I think that it's not going to be a walk in the park. I endorse that statement. Totally.
From where we stand.
From where we stand now.
Exactly.
When it comes to Galamsey, there has to be a very aggressive fight to make sure, first of all, we halt the damage and allow our water bodies. It won't happen overnight.
Okay.
Allow the mud and all those things in our water bodies, to settle down. So when it has to comes to the economy, I'm sure the experts are working on it now. There will be a very aggressive way, because when you talk about a budget and yet just revenue. I said, Obi Kosko say over budget.
Yeah, and
it's not just revenue. I think one of the mistakes this government has been making is that they feel, say, by imposing more and more and more taxes aimed at raising revenue, that would be the only solution to our national financial problems. That is not the case. A budget has a revenue component and it has an expenditure component. And the net of the two is either your surplus or your deficit.
Okay.
Say, offer or expenditure, or revenue, now you expenditure free one. That, and that's a sikani be a car, and your friend is surplus. And I say, offer or revenue, now expenditure free, that's still what the car, and only a deficit. So, to tackle a financial problem, to be physically disciplined, you are not looking at just raising revenue.
Okay.
You are also looking at cutting your expenditure.
Yeah.
You remember very well, so we said, we will appoint just 60 ministers. So on the major, 60, just 60 ministers. Because they feel it's going to be very difficult.
Very
difficult. Your regional ministers
120 to cutting down to 60, including regional ministers and their deputies, in quite 32.
I know. What that probably means is that I'm not on the drawing board.
Yeah.
I'm just speculating. Because there are people who will be out in the party.
Exactly.
What that means is that probably it's not every region that needs a deputy regional minister. Probably. Because over a half region now, how many districts are, there are about 6 or so constituencies. You don't expect Ashanti region with 47 constituencies to have a minister and a deputy. And I have to have a minister and a deputy.
Is it about the size or about the complexity of the region?
Complexity comes with size.
One of the factors.
Because the fact that the land is so vast, not only land, because you can't enough, nothing sectors need to be but you see, in terms of the commercial activities that take place, the most complicated one will be Greater Accra.
Yeah. Even
though it doesn't match in size to Ashanti region. Because this is the capital and this is the heart of commercial activities.
Right.
So on the Bibia headquarters let me count here. So all these things is not just the size or the number of constituencies.
Yeah.
But the number of constituencies and the size play a critical role in the level of complexity.
Definitely.
Let me count here.
Yeah.
Very good. It plays a critical role in the level of complexity. And therefore the manpower you need to make sure things run smoothly.
Okay.
So on the Okwabuno Easter, very few constituencies. I'm doing that because as somebody who has taken charge of the party's data before, I kind of size these regions up in terms of the constituencies. So that's what I know.
Yeah.
So let me check.
Yes.
But I'm also guided by the fact to the terrain in terms of distance is very different because if we ball it, Echo Bolia, it's about 3.5 hours drive. Did you make out I say? And that's no traffic. Now I am sure say we will travel from one end to of Accra to the other.
Africa so to Yibi.
Your club, that's a traffic anymore. Bet me the 1.5 to 2 hours be travel. It tells you that the land mass in the northern sector is also vast, very vast. So on the But when you look at the commercial activities that take place within that, and also compared to Accra.
And to measure the vastness of the land and a complexity like Accra.
Yes.
A small land mass, but the near my Kosovo who here deputy minister will have because of land mass. Now I'm
not saying that is the position of the party.
No, I know.
Let me be clear.
No, I understand.
I'm just telling you, sir, for you saying, who statement I'll make here,
yes.
And I'm very active.
Yes.
What say we regional ministers and their deputies alone free what?
Yes.
32. I'm just drawing your attention to the fact, sir. Perhaps a more efficient way is not to have a deputy for every region.
Exactly.
At least a minister for every, or perhaps to have, we have had a situation where Sapon was in charge of both Western and Ashanti region at some point.
And Bruno region, that was Bruno Ahafo.
Yes.
And Northern region,
yes.
That was one minister.
Yes, we could have also some of them. And that has to be juxtaposed against the problem that will come with it. Say, you see, everything has its dynamics. And I'm sure at the drawing board, people will look at that. Because I say, voter, any one region, you are going to create another problem. So that is why administration of a nation is a very complex issue, and do not Just we cannot sit in radio stations and then a friend saying just talk about solutions that are simple. So only make but at least anybody who has the tech know-how, and the most important part is the willingness to do the right thing. So only make
yes.
Say yam fanko ball mine chrono because internally no. Oluma we are to say. Sorry to call him Ulman. Says, oh, yeah, President, for Ulman. Because a friend say, Jam, take he Afnano in 2012. That time, Nami, when I, my colleague back, which was a crapa, or say, Ulman, no, can be honest, Ulman, she said, when did he become an old man? You are much older than him. Why you? But Perindia the Swawa, never say a old man. So, and from what I'm hearing, internally, to past executives, no, he intends to make sure, say, oh, Kokoyo Bonia, he will not protect you. Say, what is more paramount to him is what will serve the interest of the nation. And I am comforted by that as a Ghanaian. So on the and a friend said, "Mission crying." As share NDC Amano coding in I'm crying. Say, if we stick to that, we will stay in power for a long time. And I'm sure Otio Bianwa Obiaka say, I was saying, the Dumasho on Sana so could inquire some won't go. So on the and those statements that are being made, gives me a lot of encouragement, sir. Because if there's anything we need to learn from 2024 election, there are three catalysts that propagated NPP's, your friends say, abysmal performance. Yeah. One is corruption, two is mismanagement, and the worst part of is arrogance. I say, what crash? I don't know what they crash. I mean, we might tell crash the prayer. Kodam and Naji were them. I didn't have nothing like a crew. A crack. Or can no day. No. Once a woman to wouldn't try crash than to him. What can you know? As it say, or Nimsadia or Yano. On Passa Weddy by day, a baba wants a war you Nancy. What do you one more cunning in Ano? No much so ja Eddie show. And that is the arrogance. That is the arrogance. Say, oh man, penny bit me catch her, he say, I didn't think I made me drew one sorry and chiami. And more, he no a pejani musore still one chi or he no. We are why or my mo, Sabi Mrovolo by and gorgeous begging Momo by or my monocrano. Or maybe need Emma. Oh, if you look at their writings, I've read a lot of gorgeous best writings. He formed the foundation of education in this country. Exactly.
1925.
Yes, 1925. That's when he published the 16 Principles of Education.
Right.
So, and that was a pillar of education. I just one principle I didn't like. When he said education should neither be free or mandatory. Yes. That was the only principle I didn't like. So, but the rest were very sound. So, and he created the very institutions that led to the independence of Ghana.
And we are still
because he created the Prince of Wales in Friends College, University. Which is Achimota College. And on the training in Krumanum,
which is the foundation of Legon.
Exactly. So the point is that since even when such people you look at their writings, they revered
the reverence to chiefs.
Exactly.
Evidence.
Exactly. Exactly.
Our president is the lord of the country, in that literally into a banner or here.
You are just saying that because you want to play your role as a journalist who has to pose questions. But you know, say, I didn't say, President Kwadwo Nkwana, what do you mind? So I have seen how President Kufuor, President Rawlings, ono kra nya mra na yo democracy no. Emra na wo military rule no. Eni die ni obu a na de ma ehunfo na nanom ehunfo. So on mechen obodi mu ase kra na wache awon. Onka se won mo nsore ntia no. Sabi onka se obegina ntenten kra kire awon. Dem e count ase.
Right.
Obodi mu ase e na wache awon. At very few occasions o share ahenema no. O twene dan ebe eto akiri. No obodi mu ase. Ekoha ne ntima. E wan kan so matena kura se pe. Okoha wontima.
We for Betty.
Sanatia. Na watimi achia ohene sabe obi a dina see akonya so no ohene ke 20 baby so oni mechi akonya ke 20 baby so oni mechi sabe ohene kese na wo baby so enti obi a dina see akonya so bia no se wo ko no ati akonya so a it is the entire that person you are seeing is the representative of the entire chieftaincy institution in
the embodiment.
Exactly. Exactly. And you know, I think that everybody has learned. Says it is the catalyst that can send administrations and governments into opposition very quickly.
Okay.
And you know, we are guided by that. And we are humble for the overwhelming endorsement. Ghana for Ediama NDC, Amanyokuno.
Okay.
And I am just saying, say, you knew Omano Ramo. That.
Okay.
I was NDC Mugras, when I say BBC is Sikran. They say most of the things that people who went to jail, they say a national service scandals in the other day.
Yeah.
It came during our time. We prosecuted it during our time. I just want you to note that. And when I finish, you tell me instances where people were prosecuted in MPP. Anytime you see one arm of the government prosecuting, there's another arm of the government trying to clean the person up and protect the person. The other culture say, look at Obi Few, Yetimiko Hum, Sabi, Sika, house help, young bed with you. If I house help, you cross sometimes and here, Triana Kakra ding. You're wanting Timwa. We shall pass over his carefully. Easy.
Okay.
And no non-channel. And no non-channel. Obis has helped to Timko 1 million. Where's car has helped you, so dollars. But that's it. It tells you, say,
right.
Sani pay time one. Special prosecuting another arm of government so fighting. So it tells you, say, we have at least in our past. Now, foot be able to go Ghana and say Ghana for any says, but my penny or teardrum, or quite a second hand for bribe. Can you imagine that? Or man penny. When your bribe be unquoted, so to we, near so what you bribe 10 cities here. But you come Ghana to Ghana for us. The American here, at Ghana for us. And Ghana for us as one so. And as well, your friends say, and son, your home and so say, the American here. And to say, no Ghana for at your NDC Manukono Atum, NDC Abana Tumwa. We are guided not only by the overwhelming endorsement, but also the lessons from the past.
Okay.
And no maybe I'm to you know, I'm a Ghana for so it me a dear co-opposition. Ninja will be guided, and it will chart our path forward
for the reset
of the economy of this country.
Fantastic. Osai Kwame Griffith, your former CEO at the National Identification Authority, or your former IT director for the NDC, and all boy you move be a reset and best started there free. The entire we need a reset and not an upgrade. Ghana for and so validate is campaign message, you know. My main call Madam Janet Asana Nabla or nonso and a PNP presidential candidate. Na ekaka krabin kaibenya the first female president. And as I say, Yenya the first female vice president. They best start on that note. Meaning say Ebasa and Bane the Omani Japan, regardless of the party. Omani General was historic. Na Yemfamra the reset agenda. The what was said yesterday. Akwaba Yeda say or another invitation. Everything from yesterday, and especially the first female vice president for the country.
Mpacho maminchia mu ena mutiefo nyina anapei. Maminchia mi brands so from the NDC ena omo reseta ena like the boldness almost you almost be resetting this country to make it better for all Ghanaians. Eno anti no mo vote ma omo, eno anti no mo vote ma omo. Inti it's true say Ghana ya we have broken the Guinness NDC for breaking the Guinness Book of Record by bringing a woman, a female as a flag a running mate and as a female no so or omo party ni winning as see the first female vice president inti me pese minchia no and like congratulate her for a job well done.
Okay.
Na minim say or DBB ba. So we should 2000 and when was that? was it 2016? She wasn't the one. We share 2016 performance. And now, and you're no vice president. 2016 performance.
Right.
And now we share senior now performing abysmally. And about 2020, Omukofano as a vice running mate. Appreciate it, na minim say they were moving towards a right path. Nti osa fa no biom no na me de papa and na onyankopon su ya dom ama sa party ne by omo party aba and na sisi aye were the first female vice president in the country. But Ukraine say enye no kwa menya ka kire ni say congratulations. Wonim di entra. Omo we ne power pe. And I me trying say me congratulate no. And I me who say omo party no. Omo di some 2 appointments by first transition team. Transition team is one of the most important committees and no set it up for the entire thing to happen. Now we be choose transition team and I call for 11 people. Out of these people only one was a woman. Hey, sure. Memma ma yes ya dream different.
Okay.
Baby dear obema pe and a dear oba pe se mu committee na different kra. Me for instance, mini memma mu kotena meeting so. Ama obi omo friend ni pakru ne se on be ye budget man. Sa ni pakru be ye budget. And na at the end of the day, osa fa sa budget no di ba ye the next time or di can second budget so. Memma na no mo room hono no mo ye doctor so. They were holding doctorate degrees in a decade. They never saw it.
Okay.
And I mean, who ya make us say Debbie. The last time we presented, you know, would the adi we can. E ban say necessary I would buy ya. Would new almost friend is estimation bar and I was a we no adiaba. Inti we. Osi Debbie ye koswa ye who say and correct. And osi sikano suye. And I miss suya. But look, the men never saw. Most men are full of the difficulties be into tenacia. Say absolute attention, you won't get it from a man. They do certain things that at times I have sat in 2 meetings and I've seen how men usually do their things, and it scares me at times. Now would the Nipa Koko transition team swa would the member 10 or baba and the second committee I will form me na eno ye DN committee ora committee no ena enu krampo banka ho enu na ye me nwanwa na me si Debbie da ye wo female vice president enya edie hia no na female ye di kwa wo ability to make sure that ma bebre ka committees so anything na was a female this no now a female vice president what are we going to benefit from?
She should have influenced the appointment.
She should influence all the appointments that are coming out, because you see our affirmative action bill President Mahama kachire ma wa Ghana say mo vote mame na media me implementi and make sure say ma juma bia me ye bia me di 30% be ma mamo na eba say na President Mahama ka sa asem we nyina na eba transition team on dream say let me even bring the 30% to the transition team enu na eyemi enyemi de kra nti the vice president ye nyina ye ma ye ni hwe no so and the ye pen say affirmative action bill now ma pass it into law no on boy na implementing no, because we share the number of women in NDC ba ye be ye campaigner jumadina omu ye adima party no edoso into 30% is enough to be able to give it to the women,
right? Yeah the research
in fact Andrew me tie ne speech no me de papa, you know. Ne senior otino like ahubrasie eno ewom nkabom ewom endra na marvelous na mean dream say obeka sasem no, because we share the Kevin Taylor na omo keka ho a omo kasa ye omo obeye president we a ye be call MPP for this in 72 hours ye be ransako mu fie asema ye omo tena internet sudika ena ndra senior okaye no na different nti mami me de papa and me sukrampo me congratulate no and me see all the political parties dear yenim say be ya ye betima kɔ yenim no we will do it. After all, what is it? The entire nyina ye pese yenko into elections was to make the life and the living standard of Ghanaians better. Na se we see nkabom ne de ekeka ho a ye be yesa but e ba criticism so a ye be criticize mo. Say ye criticize mo enye say ye mpɛ ma asɛm because ye nim say sisi a President Mahama wo hoi we sure mo ye siko fans a oni mo dada siko fans na enye say no mo no nye dwuma wo. So that time now President Mahama omo tutia no 2016 omo nyina dwane ye no bi mpese on fa ne ho nka no na only few people na di President Mahama chi some new people no sa si ko fancy amike omo be push sa good people nyina afre no hono because e we leader at times I will pe omo be praise you and ye were praise singers we mo nti omo nyina beba no ma be man praises but on dream says 2016 time no na omu nyina adwane gyan no on fa ne focus nto ho na onhwe na hwe na gina mechi de na ogina wochi no opewo pade na sisi amene wuke sa nipa ne mo de mombe kwatie wo ye bibi anya ombe ka no kure na kire wo na ye wo ye say they don't respect you. It's not like they don't respect you. Omo respect omo ye praise singers no they don't give a hoot whether you succeed or not because they came there to be able to amass wealth and they must get it. Into the year can say we wish them the best of luck. Almost celebrate in moderation because to know papa na wukwana adiene ye dia ebeba be how into President asema okaye no okano in a very ahobrasie form so that everyone can come together na se wo pe bibi na wonim say Dr. Bawumia betima boawa na wasu tunsa friend say me brother beye we na wo pe bibi na wonim say former president yiri Nana Kunedu betima boawa na watum nsa friend no na wo see na we yenye ne say we nyina ebeboa ama nkaboma ba so that at the end of the day things na wo kan ye no yenyina ye be helping in making sure say ye be building because you guys have seen so much accusations from their side to the MPP and omo ye we ye ko 2016 ye betima hu asemboni amu ye ye the 2016 ba ye be cancer nti it's not say na mu de omo tutia mo no na mu ye papa you did all the corruption thing that these people too you are accusing them of but omo ba ye omo si mu ye corrupt omo ba ye omo anchi mu bia as corrupt musu sa time na mu si omo ye corrupt no ba ye mo ntimi nchi obia nti sa asem no a mudi ba no ya ti ache munu MPP ne NDC for some music na ya moto no ya ti ache o and we are tired of the two of you and the manipulations of Ghanaians ye de yempe manipulation bia mo be deliver de mo ka se mo be deliver no work on your manifesto promises deliver our promises to us and don't tell us what MPP have done. If they have done anything mo for mo kokot Ghana for ama obi ahu say omo ye djuma bia enko so yie enuti na omo yi omo free hono mo nti we there you don't have to tell us. We have already told the people of Ghana have told the whole country so everyone knows. Now tell us what we are going to do within your 100 days to make the living standard of Ghanaians better. Prices of goods and services wukwa sa beans na mitono about 3 months ago 7 cedis beans is here 16 cedis in the market e die ne cost is adie no enya sa mo macroeconomic indicators no we enya economics asem e practicality nti anka mo yi sa mo too much education thinking no na mo ye a little bit of I find na okoto because I know that traders have formed associations to increase prices. Sisi a tomatoes for omo nyina atong the same price. Omo see 100, ukwa 100, ukwa 100. Is this a free market economy? A free market economy is where this one is selling 100, another person can tell you 80, 70. This. But Obia ya situation they are now using their
prices.
Now they are now trying to exploit the people of Ghana. And I'm talking about almost friendly macroeconomic indicators de be nye de ehie mohwe baby a ya omoto niema no say na woto ye wotua taxes saying why are you selling it like this enu na be bua Ghana for na macroeconomic indicators no
enu de Janet Asana Nabla PNP presidential candidate for the 2024 elections or simunyai kasano na get to work. Lawyer Kwampuku CID finally abekayensa. The next 8 minutes on the reset agenda, whether we saw hope and ra from Independence Square, the NPP or say a former DC at the immediate Nrayana na Jumaba na Yue Amansia South. Lawyer, you.
Well, I never question of Jumaba.
Oh, Sandra. Oh, say DC dear. Obeti me atwaso but ono anim say na okay okay a man
to moya flyer na me kwa mo say
ye no formal
yes mo pam me kra ansa na
by convention
me mu na nya no mo bunja na is me free
okay na beti ma mo atna so JDM ba wasi odwuma so ani twaso ananya okay
it is not a friend set in stone say
yes
a certain change. It's just that people with the same ideology usually flock together. So
exactly.
And you know, but with him, it doesn't mean say I will see you until the end of February. So yeah, it doesn't happen. In fact, under President Mills, it was September.
Okay, fantastic. Honorable DC for Amansia.
I feel what you say.
Still. The next 7 minutes, you use 1 minute for conversation.
You're saying you would move now.
Start him out, you know.
Man, because I started my patch. My chair, what's here for ne, what here for? Na, I feel so. Men chair, when you find no moody, you must studio her. I mean, more BB house of Shapa. The whole year, Miss here. My make us have the first time crime buying Josuni. Baby, I'm yes, I'm a banner BB, a baby. Na my congratulations kasi nkoma Ghana fo nyina ye nyina na yedim kunim o mu se bi modim kunim a chen bi dia but ye nyina na yedim kunim obi a play ni role ye bo mampanyi a okọ na nada danko akufuado ne vice president Dr. Baumi Abaso paye fi se o ma hwe atoto Ghana ni ayato aba amadede ne ntokwa bi ansi I mean for the 9th time, let's say your boy home just that let me also say there are few skirmishes here and there. Moving forward, no, I'm say baby you drew as of mine was in Cabana, and your money in HM. And see your best say about 2 for baby view. I'm at my 2028. You see a cotua banyantokwa, about 2 baby na manfo bi akugu baby kokuntokwa ya chichun kuntima ya mpene ye nyesi sanya mani nyina no emwa emanye. Now Obama ayi enura no mame mo organizers na baso transition team no the subcommittee ya mo the inaugural organization no yemo mabaso. I think that we had one of the best organizations so far. It was a colorful one. Titrune Uniano Mania Mamenum kente na omoshe kente na omontanshe na efepa ye benya kra nka mo ko office mo ko office ana ne bo den do mutimi she ko office ma program no kama pa na afi so no for the first time yenya female vice president. Let's see what she also brings on to the table. Now her African leaders in Swa buyer from all walks of the continent. It symbolizes unity, inclusivity, cohesion amongst African leaders. But the army someone say, is it just for the optics? Pictures will that manifest into something productive? And yes, the president is so Ghana na presidents are African continent no about keke. Let's see the ECOWAS and the African Union, these organizations no working very effectively. Yes, we bet me a fight on to my papa, dear fra. Said the European Union omujumedi omudia eboa ema omo nkronkro no tumpon no. I'm waiting to see an African Union and ECOWAS omo beboa ema aman ketwa na aka no no so betima bom ho so na omo besore ti migiri se leaders na eba nra no ema na nye se bibi senior year ceremony and occasion kwa no mo beba also mo ba together mo call African Union meetings na omo hwe na enwene kwa be fa so Africa no nyina betimi aka bom na because Africa na yeyi na di mpuntu ba Obama ye nyina ho atoy upompo wo da hwe se after ya eba ye African free trade I mean aboa ama yempo headquarters no Ghana akreti adwuma ama say yetimi digwa o ye ho a initially na betimi digwa but the establishment of after no asan so
I Hansen no more
yes ama say yetimi ye the also ya and shut down no impediments on the way mechanic science President Mahama's speech and that is his inaugural speech Kofi anyame wakasa kama o share President Mahama Nkwani the only president was so afnanum prince as acting president if that is right to say bra the man penny that unyan baby call a free one no your vice president
also mu as president
so mu ana we need 2012 elections and so osan so mu ana wasan so ababio wakasa kama minyini say Ghana for benya abotra ma no say man honeymoon and you know why this time I prepare who will be the president. They can't say I prepare who will be the president and I'm a patch say the base market 2012 no say sebi enye owu e ba ya e bia na nka Mr. Mahama anya na adwene say obe contest as presidential candidate in the NDC na nka oba be flag bearer na oba be the president but a san breach here ball or minor e ma o man panyin da nya ne ba bi call ye ebe turn na so no e ma ne be the president in 2012 2013 and you could see 2017 Obama yempo at that period I can say bia na omoaboa no but after 2017 our co-opposition osabe contested 2020 elections chese no aboa no say opese osabe di president no be nyoma wenya and in 2024 osabe now even in 2024 no nsem na no kan ye say ye ma no ekwan na omra na nyoma wa anye ni ye no omra me ye ni ye na ye say ono akasa agiatum say enema bi wo ho a wa anye ni ye ana oton nsem na Ghana for finally emma no ekwan no ya to abana ma no overwhelmingly bi currency that say beto abana I mean such an endorsement and to say no aboa no say obedi president Kofi yen to me ntina ho meka say ye de say be share dam refam ni abehwe no say oh oba yen che ono de wabada dada and so when his speech now he tackled on the policy or the campaign pa the 24-hour economy we share the speech no mu the 24-hour economy no ana oka ho asem it is all here say I think on page 6 of it was say our vision hinges on introducing and implementing a 24-hour economy. We envisage an innovative and vibrant 24-hour Ghanaian economy and anchored in agriculture and agribusiness. This innovative approach will unlock dormant potential, enabling us to harness our people's energy and creativity. Imagine a Ghana where our markets are alive and bustling at all hours, with responsive public services accessible at all times so that businesses can operate flexibly to meet diverse demands. Young people, including the entrepreneurs, can find opportunities regardless of traditional limitations. Blah 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 blah. Until Osha
8 minutes in a
oh African my too. Until Osha Osha in the 24-hour economy no ehian pa because in your inaugural speech na eno ana wodi hyemu dia ye nyina ye twen na yehu say the 24-hour economy no be running na opportunity ni advantages e wo ma ye so as mabunu because me as babunu no oman no bibi ebekọ ebeye bia na beboa me enti se bibi ba na ye mabunu centered a wo se me so me ma manage ho
okay
now die ye me ya ne say mante ma bona baso no ma me nka die na me so me expect say ebia ankamete so wo hwa eye education wan shada anka bibia amfa ye education system no and me hunu say ho no so man panyina anye ne ye especially say oba na amanfo bi adwun say education system roba could be collapse. I thought it was a fine opportunity for him to rope it in and let us know his vision for the education sector.
Okay.
Especially what sounds so akawo manifesto oba youth manifesto na. Ovi youth manifesto no niema wo mu.
Say no ntumi nka sa niema we nyina.
Oh there be you touch on salient points. Ko ntumi nka 24-hour economy na education a the backbone of on mine because also a youth centered. It hinges on us. And see my school or my moon zodwana met me a say if me research work be and yet scientifically proven, but I can say over 80% of mabunu our muko school. Be no be co school be no on your babuna nebia or the second degree, third degree, and as animal man. But don't want to go school from crèche. Kwasi University pass away there. When you said say first year oba a year first year students because when they hear me or say fine we be free SHS or private schools ti ye twan kwan a be fa so be ye na pese ete eno so ho asem and no academic fee policy or universities for all first years nyame adom say wasi results naba omunya miye the wasi results naba enti afei na omobenya admission to munya admission a nanka ye hwe kwan me pese me te kwan a president be fa so a ye be ye na mahu se menuanom emabunu no ana o san so kan asem ba ko so a government me fa no so abra men kan no o say free tertiary education for all persons living with disability e hia me pa because ye nuanom na se bi dem die bi aba o mu ho no se ye hu kwan a ye be fa so aboa o ma successive governments nyina apekwan bi so asoso o masene enti if this policy me sure say obi so gina so de to aba ma free SHS in private schools free academic
first year
fee for first years and na fe PWD so free tertiary. I think that we and your ma was say
immediately with immediate effect.
Of course, kind of 120 days. No, American say also best scrapping ye levy ne say betting tax within the 120 days.
Yeah, okay. Your boy final round no some 10 minutes now yanko Mr. Sekwame.
First of all, I'm so reacted to Union. Ghana for need time for honeymoon, I agree.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean sir there was say a buy no so or sign after say I'm my move for a man who say Sebi a no more year or many and son or san so jagum by engaging in activities a day or man about him. If you know, say timeline for importing oil that can be used for generating power. 4 weeks to import and 4 weeks to process. Why is it that as we are speaking now, we have just a few friends say quantity of oil to power our generators? Just hope 7 for no. Na GM befa na asa. So sabi okonyeska krana so de be krabia. And no after 2 months ansana oil na abedru oman mu. So that you can go and sit somewhere and say GM buy no dum so aba. You see, Ghanaians are discerning, and I think they didn't pick that lesson very well. Now, let's go to education. Charles came out with a statement, say, one more managing Kwalano school, no, say postpone reopening because a friend said the situation is not good for you to bring the kids here. We can't even feed them. You put a blind eye on it and insisted, say, reopening must happen on the 3rd. They make out say you are in this country, you are aware of that. Onipa no or your headmaster no of this school want to say and fan kwala no must say na me to know my answer. as a chance a kabi wo wa yentri a enti nkola no ba wo madi die be den e be den wo wasa to nkola na kogu school. You see, these are the things that on mine now abina or kono should not say. It is very easy to explain to Ghanaians abroad peso mudi ansa no mako.
Okay.
They make out say. And to let us not be so first your friends say academic user fee first to be paid for no. It's not a problem. In fact, if you look at the budget of those things now, they are very small compared to your friends say even quite basic education. Okay. So but don't forget, say we wrote the constitution that say basic education should be free.
Yeah.
And the MPP has no the education history of this country. The flagship program on the by 2016 is the only major policy they've done in education since Gold Coast. The other county here. Right. And so to be honest with you, we they shouldn't be lecturing us on how to manage education in this country. And let me also state, sir, even the constitution that says that education, basic education must be made free. So on which and compulsory crampono. They didn't partake in the writing of the constitution. You remember very well they boycotted. Yeah. And not only did they boycott, every branch at that time the Bar Association was seen as a branch of the Dankwabusia tradition. They also boycotted. The FQ. For FQ was in 95. That was by Harry Sawyer and Jerry Rollins. Right. Which says it should be free, compulsory, universal basic education. That was the FQ. It is the basis of the FQ that informed the constitutional basic education must not only be made free, but it must be made compulsory. Okay. They make out as
and say honeymoon dear Obama say Madam Janet, you share the next 3 minutes for wrapping up.
Yes. So just as Okanye know about the free tertiary education, before elections, Miko Legon, Miko Yeno na miko ye me gender work bi because me wo foundation ye friend no gender foundation miko ye me gender work students ba ya omo ba ye say omo si omo ntua so medical fee bi e no man timi antua nti the last date was supposed to be on Friday. Lot of them, so they came on me. I had to count them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I said this is the cutoff point of the people I will pay for. I can't pay for all of you because the amount you're saying, Grandpa, na nipa bako about 600 and something Ghana cedis. Okay. And they couldn't pay. So the situation is serious, and so when I heard that your government wanted to give them the first year students, we are going to do something about it. Okay. I was so delighted. And as you are here, you need to do it. You need to do it to help. You are already telling us that bill no crampo is small. It's very small. So and now majority of the youth vote here because of this. Because almost parents they don't have money for even first when they brought it up, I was against it. I was telling them that how who first year, na second year won't mean way education by ni. But then explanation no course to say after that you can go and take a student loan to continue and other things. I saw that it was a laudable idea, and if we are able to implement it, it will help persons with disability and things. Those things maybe they can wait small. Okay. Just as he was saying, we will criticize, but we won't put too much pressure because you are now coming. We need to give you the chance and also even pray that you should succeed. Okay. Because if you are not able, it's not only you that will face the consequences. If there's no lights out, will you have this thing? It won't affect only NDC, it will affect all of us. So we'll pray that things should go on well. And if you have difficulties, don't hesitate to come out to say it. These are the difficulties we are facing. Then as a country, we come out to see how we can be able to help. We will help till 1 year. Then we'll know what, even though we will be helping and be punching. But I think that we should be able
very
to
much. All right, about the last 2 minutes now,
Obama, sama the senior 2 punchlines in Baya. And you say, and your bonus who. In fact, President Mahama,
moral rights.
Your moral rights, President Mahama and Kasakrano, as part of the policies, Ediaba, in 1 hour, so 120 days near my obey. And some American now when you may womb, so obey betting tax, obey emission tax, levy, no academic fee, free tertiary for PWDs. These are nyama waha nyama anyading. Or say free sanitary. I know kind of policy is different. Free sanitary pads for female students in primary and secondary schools. What they are buying is first 120 days. And to one send him say, a idea was so young and when you are, and then cranny baby school. Menya sure say, because first years no co na later or the abasa. What disappointing Ghanaians because the people got to about mouth based on that. What they are influencer and also what they and do so be a man for Obama and just say I'm crying because school campaign started. Campaign started. I'm crying because school. Yanum Kumanum Omuko school. Yame Adoma. I think this end of this month. January. And then over there said 20 something 30 for first year's grad. I feel my admissions no. Eba within this week. Next week. And you know, Omonia ready. A bit of data no na. Oh, send you. First 120. Mahama's first 120 days social contract. And also, on one eye. I'm here. You okay? On one President Mahama. Yeah, one wabu o man am na o man ye I say boa ko ya mo na o man no say a be ha ye nyina enu nti na ye won documents na ye nyina ye keep track we wa ye ne ateke we wa 120 ni so ya ne amana oh obeye so kwame opoku Jamfi honorable kwampoku si idea ye DC for Amansie South still the DC is also na Madam Janet Asana Nabla so a PNP presidential candidate for 2024. I've really enjoyed the submissions. Also na Ora Ose Kwame Griffith, former CEO for the NIA and a former IT director for NDC. Also ne we be a go so pa. Nyame atoma ye be sign mo hia we Angel in the morning. This is Angel 102.9 afi so Angel TV and over 22 radio stations across the country. BAT Ohima we je aye Kwadwo or the aka na etwa so. Yede Jumadi and Bremo from Anopano in Siabesi Sabre na ya Jumanso Ebe Twas Meda team Nina say from production team Nicola Zene technical team camera crew and Obibia Moama Yedisho ne Bremo Benjamin and Afe so all the team Nina no for any team Nina Branty di Mono Brasso say sorry na Yede Diakana Brema Chulo goes winning penny for Nina Hima we a jet Twaso na ode ye Juma Abremo we Angel in the morning or China Nyame ya adom wo kwa ye besan abetwa so e dia mamomidi the Saddick Adams. Thank you very much for watching and listening.